We'll get on my bed, buddy? Okay. Alright. On the bed here. Wuss. Alright. Hold on. On up. Ready? 1, 2, 3. There you go, Bubba. There you go. Don't need my tissues. That's disgusting. Hey, don't need that. There you go. Good boy. Alright. Now I'm ready. If you told me Edgar Wright was directing a Running Man movie, I would tell you that you are a liar, a fibber, a person that got into one of my biggest nerdgasms of all time. Edgar Wright and Running Man go hand in hand. And after so many years of being in development, we finally got it. Edgar Wright did The Running Man. And look, the title's not a lie. Although, I'm going to be honest, it's not horrible, but yeah, it is a little disappointing, I'm not going to lie. But I did really enjoy it. But yeah, if you told me this was going to be a bad film, however, I would tell you you were a liar. Because I don't think this is a bad film per se, it's just very underwhelming compared to Edgar Wright's other films. Now, I'm going to try and keep this review somewhat short because I watched this movie twice. I got a decent grasp on what, I watched, and, I tried to watch the original, but I can't find it on any streaming sites. I want to purchase it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to like the old one. I watched the old one once and kind of forgot about it. And similar to the old one, I don't remember much about this film. The only reason why it's fresh on my brain is because I watched it literally last night before going to work the next day. I tried to get this review done earlier, but time got away from me, and these videos honestly take quite a bit of time. And I want to at least make these somewhat entertaining so you're not just staring at me boringly talking into a camera. So with that being said, here's what I have to say about the movie, because it's not too bad, it's just more or less, it's disappointing to a fault. Now I feel like for the average moviegoer, seeing this movie in theaters is just going to be a fun time. Now if you're an Edgar Wright fan or a film fan, or if you're mainly an Edgar Wright fan, I like his filmography. If you haven't seen his films, I highly recommend his, film choices. He did Baby Driver, Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I haven't seen that one yet. I do want to see that. But I love his style. I love how he directs his movies, and, once you saw the advertisements and the commercials for this, you were probably expecting somewhere along the lines of Edgar Wright's, The Running Man. But if I'm going to be honest, this movie is kind of like Edgar Wright light. It is the most tame, it's not mid, it's not even mediocre or just average. In terms of his films, I feel like it is, but overall, it's just, there are hints of his, signature style there. The action sequences are fun, at least. The acting is really good, particularly Glenn Powell and Coleman Domingo, who did the game show host. He's the host of the television series, sorry. And then Killian, Josh Brolin's character, he's the host and everything, and the ultimate big bad. And he does a decent job, at least. Glenn Powell does a great job. I don't think he has any issues as a leading man, especially since he pulls off a tough guy persona in this movie. I felt like he did a good job. Particularly in the third act, he really shows his acting, so I felt like it was really good. Sorry, my voice is kind of monotone right now. I'm recovering from a crash. People that worked with me today, they know how zooted I was off of, a Red Bull, so I apologize if I seem a little bit more mellow than usual. I am just recovering from that. Imagine picking up 4 hours on your day off. Then imagine picking up 4 hours and then adding 4 more hours to it. To the coworker that's watching this, you know who you are, and hats off to you. I got nothing but respect for you. But back to my point about the title of this video, because I did say it's a little disappointing. Like I said, your enjoyment for this is really just going to determine, like if you're not a huge fan of Edgar Wright films, or if you don't know a whole lot about him, go watch this movie. You might have a good time. But if you are, if you know his tone and style, you are not going to get as much as it here. There are a few needle drops that are pretty cool. One in the beginning, which is kind of cool, where Glen Powell's just walking through the town and, it's just a nice little tracking shot. It's really kind of cool. Here's where I'm going to get into some of the issues in just a bit, but also the action, like I said, there's some really cool stuff here. There is like a really cool, obviously it was in the trailer with the drone chasing him screaming, "Stop filming me." That was a standout. Him running was really freaking cool in my opinion. That was like probably the highlights of the movie where I got pretty excited. Michael Cera showing up, he did a fantastic job playing just like this. I wasn't too sure about his character, honestly. I felt like his motivations were a little bit like they just kind of swapped back and forth. Especially, there's also another weird moment, and it happens when Glen Powell's character, Ben Richards, gets to his house, and not his grandmother, could be his grandmother for all I care. She's freaking freaky in this. Obviously, Stephen King's got to throw in a, creepy old lady in there somewhere. But, at one point when they get to his house, his mother's watching TV and is obviously hating Ben Richards and saying, "Kill him, hunt him down," and everything. And Michael Cera's just like, "Don't worry about her. She's deaf, so you have nothing to worry about." But then 5-10 minutes later, in the exact same day, I'm assuming, she literally finds out that he is living in her house and then starts to snitch on him. They have like this button and everything that can like alert the, people to get to the house. And then, there's another confusing moment where Michael Cera tries to stop his mom before he then just presses the button. Now, it's made clear earlier that he just wants to kill the guards, and it leads to a pretty damn fun action sequence in this house where it's just a bunch of Home Alone booby traps being set off, and it's all good fun. He throws in a bunch of one-liners that are pretty funny, and that's really all I have to say about that one sequence. There are hints of like weird moments like that where a lot of character motivations just don't make sense, or the editing's a bit off. I know Edgar Wright's, used to like quick cuts and everything, but I felt like here there just wasn't a whole lot. There was a lot thrown at you, but so little time to development. I feel like my biggest issues with this movie is the fact that near the end, it just literally, I'm just going to say it, the ending freaking sucks. The ending just kind of, like, it tries to quickly wrap up everything in, like, 5 minutes. It tries to combine both the book ending and, like, a slightly more optimistic ending, and I'm fine with that, but then it just starts doing, like, so many other things. Oh, man, I can't explain it, but I just remember both times that I watched this. Yes, I watched this twice in theaters. Sue me. You might think I'm weird. I'm not. Okay, I am, but doesn't matter. That's besides the point. But both times I watched this in theaters, I was just like, wait, the movie's already, like, even the last line, like, it's kind of cool and kind of badass, but then once the end credits start, I'm like, that was the end? Now, I read the book and everything, and yes, it is more accurate to the book, so book fans, you'll appreciate that. And I do appreciate the fact they tried to combine both the book ending and a slightly more optimistic ending, but again, the ending just, it all falls apart for me. But the movie, in its own right, it has some great acting, great action moments, but like I said in the beginning, it is disappointing. And in my honest opinion, it is forgettable, unfortunately. There isn't a whole lot there that's memorable in terms of plot. Like, the other two contestants, one of which is an actress that I really enjoyed in Mission Impossible and Love Lies Bleeding, but I barely remember her. She's just this punk type of character that just literally gets flamethrown to death by two ginger redheads. Yeah, it's pretty goofy, and I feel like the movie also struggles to find a tone balance in because it's a grim story. It's a fairly, bleak story, and they try and make it more fun, but there is just so like the lack of balance between bleakness, fun, action, cheesy action, 80s, movie moments. There's just not a good balance between the two. So when I was watching it, it made me feel confused what it was trying to go for. Was it trying to go for bleak, or was it trying to go for more fun? When it went for fun, it was fun. When it went for bleak, sure, it was bleak, but it was well acted, well delivered. Like, the acting was really great. Nothing felt, performative or, monotonish. But like I said, it was just a bit strange and disappointing. Alright, this review is going much longer than I anticipated, but just to wrap things up, if you enjoy Edgar Wright films, for me personally, I enjoyed this movie pretty well. Despite the issues I have with it, despite an ending that, completely almost tanks the movie, there's a lot here that is enjoyable. Acting is great. The set design's great. I love that dystopian sci-fi look to it. I love the fact that Arnold Schwarzenegger's face is on the money. This movie is just really fun, in my opinion. Like I said, when you watch this movie, if you're looking for an Edgar Wright film, you're not going to get his signature style. You're going to get it in moments, but nothing too crazy to where you're going to go oh wow, this is an Edgar Wright film. This isn't a movie that just screams Edgar Wright. In fact, this movie kind of just feels like he was hired just for a job. This just feels like the most, let's just throw in Edgar Wright there, because why not? But they just don't utilize him to his strengths, which is disappointing. But with that being said, the acting is great. The action, or lack thereof of the Edgar Wright style action, is still pretty fun. The music is okay, not memorable. Story's okay. Ending is where it kind of tanks. But overall, I enjoyed it, and it's a fun time at the movies. I mean, for crying out loud, I hate when people say that this is a remake. It's not. Well, it is, but I feel like the original movie is so vastly different from the book it was based on that I feel like it can just stand on its own two legs. This one is more book accurate. So I feel like you can discern the two of them and separate them from okay, if you want a cheesy 80s Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, you got The Running Man from the 80s. If you want a more book accurate dystopian sci-fi thriller that's pretty action-packed and just a overall entertaining fun time, you got The Running Man from 2025, and you know what? I'm fine with that. This is just in my opinion, a perfect movie. Okay, it's not a perfect movie, but just a perfect movie to watch. Just a nice movie you can throw on and enjoy. And when you go to the theater, make sure you get a large popcorn, because this movie slaps when you have a large popcorn. So I highly recommend it. I enjoyed it just fine. I have issues with it. I have a lot of praise for it, but I don't think it's as bad as most people are saying. It is fun though. So there's that. Anyway, that's about it. Take it easy, everyone. See ya.